Councillor Chiricama was the chair.
You are welcome to the Extraordinary Hearings Committee meeting this afternoon on Wednesday, the 29th of May. Open with our Karakia Timatanga, mai te paemonga raro ki te tai, mai I te awatonga raro ki te awaraki. Nia te hape, ape ai e taratahi. Whanau, haere mai te toki, hami e, hui tai. We have one apology, and that is Steve Gallen. Let's move that. Ron seconded it. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Conflicts of interest on the deliberations. So that will be Councillor Aileen on Carterton cycle trails and the event centre as per the submissions previously carried forward.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I'll just ask for a clarification. Maybe I can ask for a clarification when we start discussing it. It's just around if we're looking at redistributing funds to do with the cycle trails and the 520,000 of better off funding, Councillor Ailing should be allowed to partake in where that goes.
So I knew where you were going with that. So what I was going to suggest is once we get to that point, then a decision will be made in regards to the cycle trail. And then I see that as a two-pronged decision. So then wherefore the money goes thereafter, if that is moved, then yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's in particular those items. Are there any other conflicts anybody would like to declare?
Same ones as last week, Paul and I can't remember.
Well, there's no limitations on that anyway. Sort of we didn't have anyone apply to come into our public forum this afternoon. So moving right along, so we will go to page 1 of our report and item 14, discussions on the LTP consideration submissions are fully outlined below, and the results of the deliberations. So I propose that we just go through each deliberation and which are numbered 1 to 26, and just confirm that we agree with where we landed on those deliberations.
So what I have done is number the deliberations 1 to 26. They are the original deliberations. If you wish to change them as we go through the process, I suggest you change the final recommendation of the paper, which is to reconfirm the decisions as noted above, and then you will add subject to item whichever number you decide to change, subject to the changes noted in items etc. So if you change an item that's in, which is why I've numbered them, you'll have to change the final amendment on a resolution.
So do we not have to go through all 26?
We'll just
No. The chair. So you may wish to
I'll open the table up for any questions or discussions on any items and any decisions that have been made. Are there any that anybody around the table would like to reconsider? Councillor Cretney.
Thank you, Madam. I'd like us to reconsider the decision on the cycle trails and the better off funding that was put towards that decision. But I'd also like us to consider the 295k that's gone towards that.
oh sorry, going in.
And whether we could potentially support item 15 using some of that funding so that we're supporting the Carterton Trails and the 5 Pounds Trail Trust at the same time.
Fabulous. Okay, so and you are proposing, so do you want to separate them out? So do you want to start with the 295 carry forward, or Glenda, maybe you'd like to come to the table and
That's what to do.
give us some information on what that might look like
What we want is some rationale as to
to Councillor Cretney's question around options for the 295 and the 520, and I think just rewording, so could part of that 295
include
be going towards the supporting, using our thanks to supporting the 5 Towns Trail Station,
which was 20K.
which is 20K per year for 3 years. Yeah.
yes. So short answer, yes. Longer answer, since deliberations, we've had further information come back from the consultant that we're looking at working on, working with the 295, so on the bridge work that we're currently doing. So where they've come back is that we have a high level estimate that of how much the bridge detailed design is going to cost now. We have the high level estimate of the detailed design for the trail from River Road to Lincoln Road. We have the cost estimate for the scoping from Lincoln Road to Clearville. Scoping work will give us the full picture of how much the detailed design and the time frame for detailed design will cost at a later date. And then when included in that 295, we see that we can support the 5 towns networks all within budget. So the reason for that is that then closes the loop on that piece of work that we're doing. We've got community-led groups that have been leading this work. We want to continue and see that support go through to the benefit of the whole Wairarapa region.
Clarify, Chair, you'll need to reconsider number 15 before you go back to number 3.
Do you, to make it easy for Robin taking minutes, I propose that we revisit deliberation number 15, the 5 Towns Trails Trust. And do you want to move that? Or?
Well, just clarification. My understanding is that 20K that 5 Towns Trails Trust asked for in their original submission is actually included in the 295.
Yes.
So it's not an extra. If we agree to that, it would be ring fenced within that 295. Yeah.
Yeah, and that would need to be over the 3 years, so
Yeah.
20,000 per year for
Yeah.
the 3.
Yeah. So no additional rating impact.
I was going to suggest that maybe the wording for the recommendation could be that we approve $20,000 per year for 3 years for the 5 Towns Trails Trust from the existing 295 that is being rolled over.
Yep, so you could say from the existing trails project.
From the existing trails project.
Yeah.
Funding. Yep.
Funded outfit, yeah.
Move that. Or are we moving?
I mean, so that if we put that as a motion on the table, and then we can have discussion around that.
Yep, I'll move.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder for that. Any questions or discussions around that motion that we've just put to the table? Are we happy to go to the vote on that one? All those in favour, please show of hands. Carried unanimously. Yeah. Right. And then reverting back to deliberation number 3. Should we cover off the rest of that 295 first? and then we can separate out the better off funding.
Amanda, can I just have a clarification? I'm just thinking back around the 295 funding. Look, I'm for this all progressing as such, but I know when we put that 295, we set it aside. Anything to do with the bridge was separate to that 295, and the 295 was to look into the feasibility of the trail from where the bridge hits Carterton and linking it to Carterton. So can I have a little bit more information around the funding is going to be used now to do a
The scope and feasibility.
of the bridge and everything, because I've actually spoken to one of the members of that group who's told me they're not actually wanting any funding from Carterton District Council towards that. So I'm just
For the construction.
Yeah.
So there needs to be the detailed design done for the bridge.
Yep.
And that's what the 295 was for. The construction was not us. The group was going, once they had detailed design, they could go and get estimates and have it constructed. You think that there's something different?
from my memory back, it didn't include anything to do with the bridge. It was 295 for us to develop a scope and the trail from Matarawa Road into Carterton. Was from my memory back of what we approved at the last long-term plan. I'm just trying to work out on how much of this there will only be 235 left is going to be used in the bridge side of it, and what's going to be left to develop the.
So some of that 295 is already been spent.
Yeah. So about 170,000 is bridge detail design. And then there's about $50,000 of trail design and some other scoping, but 170 was bridge detail design.
And that's already been undertaken.
That work is.
Submitted.
Yeah. Work. I'm just trying to find the this current LTP to figure out what the wording was around that.
Any other questions or whilst Gwenda's just.
Well done. Question not on that issue. For consultation item 1 and 2, I wasn't part of those votes. Are we able to redo those votes? So my vote is included on those 2 items as it was before I was brought back into the room.
Yeah, we can do. You like to, yeah.
After this is done. Yep.
Can I ask a question following that? In Councillor Aileen's submission, though, she said her preferred option. So is that predetermination?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did.
Okay, I'll
I don't know
pull
what
that up. Clarification
Okay.
on that,
I'll have
both of you.
check. Yeah.
So whilst we're looking at it, for clarity and just so we can start in our head, so what we're talking about would be an amended motion or decision that sufficient funding would be up to 235K, bearing in mind 60 has now been allocated to the Five Towns Trails Trust, is put in the LTP to scope and design the cycle trail from River Road at Matarawa to Clearville, noting there's no impact on the ratepayers, full stop. So then we take out comprised of, because that's kind of what we're looking at doing with the rest of that. Is that the right figure or?
Can I clarify?
Yeah.
295 is already in this year's
It's
LTP.
already in it.
Yeah.
So it's a carry forward.
What we're talking about is reallocating,
The carry
potentially,
forward.
reallocating the 520.
That's right.
Okay, but we need to make sure that this is covered off accurately. So the 295 carried forward. 60 of that is now being apportioned to the £5 trails. So it's
Always
now,
was.
yes, but for the sake of clarity, to make sure this is documented properly, it's the remaining 235 balance of the carry forward, which is there is no impact to the ratepayers because it was in this year of the LTP. So it is a carry forward from this year, being year 3 of the previous LTP, just changing it so it is documented that it's up to 235k.
And for my clarification, my understanding is that that money already been in this year's budget is already been as we speak.
Yes.
And so it's not necessarily a full 235 there. It's and we can't appropriate that money because that work has already been let and that's been done now. So 295 is locked
So
in with
so
the work stream that's already existing. Okay.
Balance that is
Yeah.
forward.
Okay.
So it,
I just need to be clear on that.
and there is no impact on our ratepayers. Yeah.
Which that 295 or the balance thereof was going to be spent as a matter of course without any direction from council because it's carried forward. So
It's in the plan.
yeah, so all we, because our decision on here is 815, which included two components. If we're going to make any changes, we would focus on what we want to take out and reallocate, and then the balance stays in without any sort of intervention from council because it's already carried forward and in train. Yeah.
Yeah, other than the motion that you've just.
So being clear,
Yeah.
the two separate pieces of funding are sliced. One is already committed, the 295 is already committed, and that's in process. So my desire to reallocate that is impossible. I got that in my little head. The question is going to finally drop down into 520, and so that's the issue.
And because there has been a change in number 15, that will bring a change about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really just 520. Yeah.
So asking your advice.
Can I answer Councillor Creaky's question? So I'm on page 50 of the 2021-2031 LTP document. It says the 10-year plan includes work beginning on Trail 1, Greytown to Carterton, detailed planning, route identification, costing, timing and consultation with landowners, et cetera, et cetera. The cost of this project is budgeted 295 plus interest and to be undertaken in this LTP. So,
Okay.
So Greytown to Carterton, so it didn't even specify a trail, it includes the bridge.
So do we need to have a decision now on item number 3? And if we do, how does that need to be worded?
So I think if we're just talking about the 520, I think that decision around the cycle trails needs to be removed and you just need to talk about reallocating $520,000 of better off funding that is currently targeted towards cycle trails.
So then all of that about the cycle trails, what will come out of the LTP? Okay.
Matarawa, all of that
Yep,
comes out.
that comes out.
The decision around the 520.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Quick question, is there any risk of in the process of reallocating the funds that we may lose funds?
Only if you don't reallocate it towards a waters project.
Okay, so as long as we do that, there is no risk of us losing that money.
Correct.
It's a good question. Because we look really silly.
So then Councillor Whitney, are you moving to allocate, well, first question, I'll come back to the 520,000 better off funding, which in our previous deliberations, we allocated the cycle trails, now moving that to a water project. Is that what you're saying? Or
Could I suggest some wording?
yeah,
That the 520,000 be reallocated to a 3 waters policy project selected by the Projects and Policy Committee with management. With advice from management.
It might not be soon enough. When could we
No, you want to do it straight up? Okay, 2 or 3.
It's not soon enough. That's
Okay.
3 weeks.
To desludging in year
Yeah.
one?
Yeah. And you one, yeah.
Yeah.
Goes to, unless,
I'll think.
Okay,
yeah.
I'd like to move that we reallocate the $520,000 of funding that was going towards cycle trail. We now
Reallocate. Well,
thank you.
or we allocate.
reallocate it towards the year one desludging of pond 1.
Wastewater treatment ponds.
Number 25, Karen.
Karen?
I suggest that we two levels that we have to
Subject to.
subject to DIA report and audit.
Okay.
Because it may not be, we can't make that decision. We can certainly.
Recommendation. Right, subject to confirmation. Yeah.
And then if that's not confirmed, what's the next step?
We have to find another waters project to allocate it to.
Yeah.
We
Policy.
just have to find an infrastructure project.
I'm pretty certain that.
So rather than specify the actual project, are we not better to say, just go with a 3 waters project and subject to a 3
Yeah,
waters?
don't specify. So the 520,000 better off funding be allocated to a 3 waters project in year 1.
You're saying the capital project?
Does it have to be,
Yes.
do we have to specify that? Can we not say a water project?
And waters infrastructure project, and by project, by definition, it's capital.
Yeah.
Which is then ticks the box for DIA because they wanted it to go to
Cap.
a waters capex. didn't they? Okay, did you get that? Robin, so it's be allocated to 3 waters infrastructure project. Any questions, further questions around this? Any further discussion around this?
Seconded, who's seconded?
I'm just checking, or just let's, any other discussions around that? So you moving that, Steve?
Or his worship. Yep, I'm happy to move that.
And I'll second it.
Okay,
I'm happy to second.
all those in favour, show of hands, please. Unanimous, carried, thank you. Right. Other items. 1 and 2.
I've gone back to my submission. There was a tick box, so I have ticked my preferred option in my submission, so that's,
Okay, so that's, yep,
no, that's fine.
happy with that. Any other decisions that anyone else would like to go through?
Not unless you guys want to change your mind.
That being the case, I will move to the recommendation. And the first recommendation we have in front of us is that we receive the report. I'm happy to move that. And Councillor Newman? All those in favour, show of hands. Carried unanimously, thank you. And then the second recommendation we have is reconfirm the decisions as noted above for consideration by council, subject to the changes identified at number 3 and number 15. Do I have someone happy to move that?
I'm happy with that.
Thank you, Councillor Lawrence, and seconded by Councillor Tetley. All those in favour, show of hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you. There endeth our meeting, and we can do. Let's do our Karakia Whakamutunga. My pronunciation might be really, really bad because I haven't practiced it. So I'll if anyone else wants to lead, please do.
Kia whakaria te tapu, kia wā, kia ara, kia.
Yeah, turuki whakatanga. Thank you, team.
Well done.